Learning outcomes. After studying this module, you shall be able to define the meaning of values and commitment, describe the importance of values and commitment in the life of people, identify factors responsible for organizational commitment, know relationship between job satisfaction and organizational commitment, and apply the knowledge of components of organizational commitment for stability of manpower in organizations. Introduction to values. Values can be defined as a specific mode of conduct or end state of existence that is personally or socially preferable to an opposite or converse mode of conduct or end states of existence. Values vary from individual to individual. For example, one person may give greater importance to money, whereas his friend gives more or value to honesty. Values contain judgmental elements. On the basis of values, one judges the environmental stimulus and his own actions as right or wrong, good or bad, desirable or undesirable. Our values are attributed by contents and intensity. Contents specify that particular value is important or not, then intensity ensures how important is that value. Usually people do not end up with one or two values. As they grow in the world, they develop various values and give them importance to various degrees. It constructs the set of values identified by the relative importance people assign to their values. Values can be freedom, pleasure, self-respect, honesty, obedience and equality. Importance of values. In organizational system, values influence the perception of the person as well as decide upon his individual attitudes and motivation. How much value we give to gain more and more information, to consider work as worship, how much committed we are to our organization, what is more important, money, status or power, etc. Organizations' environment, structures and policies are based upon these values. Values direct us to be more objective and rational in our approach. The values construct attitudes and behavior. The person who gives higher value to personal growth will be more motivated to join the company which frequently arranges training programs even if he is less paid. There are as compared to the organizations that pay him more but do not provide the opportunities to grow. Sources of value system. The value system constitutes a significant aspect of individual's personality, his likes, dislikes, beliefs, attitudes and ultimately behavior. It gives us a way to perceive the world. But from where do we get these value systems? From where we get the ideas of good and bad? What are the sources of value systems? A very prominent position of it is determined by genetics. Rest is attributed by national culture, parents, teachers, peer groups and also learning through interaction with environment. Some values are culturally loaded. The people of some caste, society or nation commonly share them. Every country has certain value systems that they develop through years, such as Americans give more value to individual activities as compared to Japanese who give more value to teamwork. Similarly, India is considered as the biggest democratic country because it gives higher importance to social equality. Every nation has some values that may be achievement, peace, cooperation, equity, democracy and many other societal values. These values may or may not change, but if they do, the change is very gradual. The early ages of our life play a crucial role in the development of our value system. It was a time when our parents, teachers and related others taught us the do's and don'ts of life. We were told what is right and what is not. Parents tell their kids to greet people when they meet, give food to a hungry person, take care of their grandparents, not to tell lies, etc. To be kind, caring, hardworking and honest. are the basic values inculcated by our parents. When we step out of our homes, and the way we behave in the outside world is determined by our values. Later on, these values may get changed or modified depending upon the exposure and experience one gets. It is found through researches that values are relatively stable and enduring because of the presence of genetic components and the ways in which they are learned. The value theory of job satisfaction implies that job satisfaction depends primarily on the match between the outcomes and individual values and his perception about the availability of such outcomes in his job. Thus, the level of satisfaction depends on the individual's perception of receiving the more desirable outcomes. The more the gain, more valuable the outcomes, and more he feels satisfied with the job. The value theory states that not any outcome can lead to satisfaction, but only the ones the person considers valuable. The lesser the discrepancy between the job one has and one wants, the greater the satisfaction. Similarly, the greater the discrepancy, lesser the satisfaction. The effective way to satisfy employees would be to find out what they want and provide it to them to the extent possible. The theory suggests that the objects of value may not be the same for all people, but there might be a valued aspect of the job about which people perceive serious discrepancies. Thus, because of its emphasis on values, the job satisfaction can be derived from many factors. Satisfying employees is not an easy job. Companies are always trying to figure out how to satisfy their employees. Some companies are systematically surveying their employees to know what can make them well satisfied. Organizational commitment. Organizational commitment has emerged out of the research literature is being important to understand and predict organizational behavior. Organizational commitment is defined as a state in which an employee identifies with a particular organization and its goals and wishes to maintain membership in the organization. Several factors influence organizational commitment. Richard M. Steers has suggested few of them. It is found personal factors such as degree of participation in the process of decision making and the level of perceived job security affect organizational commitment. Therefore, managers should nurture these factors in order to enhance the employee's level of commitment. Since committed employees show low rate of absenteeism and turnover, they work with full dedication. Meaning of organizational commitment. A strong relationship found between organizational commitment and job satisfaction. It is found that commitment causes satisfaction or vice versa. As an attitude, organization commitment is defined as 1. A deepest desire to remain an integral part of a particular organization. 2. A willingness to put high efforts for the progress of organization because of high assimilation with serving organization. 3. A firm acceptance and agreement on beliefs in the policy and values of the organization. In other words, it is a strong sense of association and identity which make an employee loyal to the organization and motivate him to strive towards the progress of an organization. In the entire course, culture plays a vital role because it is the culture that induces the value to be loyal to the individual or organization from which you earn your livelihood. In Indian culture, it is a very famous phrase that be loyal to the one whose salt you have. That is why in India, people do not quit their organizations easily. On the contrary, in few Western nations, people have culture of shifting jobs frequently for more rises in terms of monetary gains and power position. In Indian culture, people give more value to their relationship with organization. They don't leave serving organization until or unless any major problem in work area exists. There are a number of factors affecting organizational commitments. These are personal factors such as age, tenure in the organization, dispositions of positive and negative affect internal or external control attributions. Second, organizational factors, the job design and the leadership style of one's supervisor. Non-organizational factors such as the availability of alternatives after making the initial choice to join an organization will affect subsequent commitment. Meyer and Ellen proposed a three-component model for organizational commitment. One is the affective commitment, which involves the employee's emotional attachment to, identification with and involvement in the organization, that is affection for your job. 2. Continuance commitment involves commitment based on the costs that the employee associates with leaving the organization, that is fear of loss. And the third, normative commitment, which involves the employee's feelings of obligations to stay with the organization, that is sense of obligation. This model of organizational commitment is supported by several researchers. It clearly states that people show high commitment for organizations with high emotional attachment, fear of losing a job and by sense of obligation. Work value, organizational commitment and job satisfaction. Job satisfaction is the various attitude people hold towards their job, or in other words, it is individuals' positive or negative attitude towards a job. Different people working in different cadres in a company are not equally satisfied. Everyone is doing different type of job and show relatively different types of job satisfaction. White collar personnel, that is employees of managerial level, tend to be more satisfied than blue collar personnel working in the production line. Secondly, elderly people are found to be showing higher level of satisfaction as compared to younger people. It is shown by research that at the age of 30s, when they are achieving high success, they tend to be more satisfied. This level goes down in 40s. Again, they gain the satisfaction after reaching late 50s. The value theory of job satisfaction implies that satisfaction depends primarily on the match between the expected outcomes individuals value in their jobs and their perception about the availability of such outcomes. Thus, the level of satisfaction depends on the individual's perception of receiving more desirable outcomes. The more they gain the valuable outcomes, the more they feel satisfied with their job. The values theory states that any outcome can give satisfaction, but only if the person should give value to that outcome. The lesser the discrepancy between the job one has and the one wants, the greater the satisfaction will be. Similarly, the greater the discrepancy, lesser the satisfaction and lesser will be the commitment towards the job. The gratification of needs produces a deep sense of satisfaction in employees, so that's why management tries to fulfill their needs. But how to analyze and identify the object that may be of value to one employee but would have no value to another person? For one employee, money can be great satisfier. However, for others, holiday could be the great satisfier. Thus, because of its emphasis on values, the job satisfaction and commitment can be derived from many factors. But at the same time, satisfying employees is not an easy job. Companies are always trying to know how to satisfy their employees and increase their commitment. Here, culture plays a vital role in understanding the importance of values in the life of people. In some cultures, people give more value to individual freedom and personal growth rather than being with family and sacrificing career. However, some give more value to status, which can be attained and maintained only by the material earnings. Some companies are systematically surveying their employees to know what can be best done to satisfy them and make them more committed and produce their best. Outcomes of organizational commitment. There are several outcomes of organizational commitment. Organizational commitment leads to many positive outcomes such as enhanced performance, turnover and absenteeism in many researches. But some of the factors become challenges for the organizations, such as role stress, empowerment, job insecurity, and employability. Distribution of leadership also has shown to be connected to a worker's sense of organizational commitment. Role of culture in organizational commitment in need gratification. Determining the work values of each culture is an important part of developing organizational commitment. According to Hofstede in 2001, work values are significant for two different reasons. First, they are an excellent measure of culture. It says values are the byproduct of sociological and cultural factors as compared to individual psychological differences. Secondly, the work values of employees of an organization have immense effect on conflict resolution, ability to change, to communication, to employee motivation. Cultural factors are of great importance to employee commitment. For example, the culture where people have wait and see attitude often put things on hold, delay them, and firmly believe in the destiny of every act. They have self-withdrawal attitude and it has its effect on organizational commitment of people working in the public sector. Individuals in wait and see attitude delay the decision making with regard to minor problems until it deteriorates. As long as the problem has no gravity, no consideration will be granted to it. In 2007, this led to some sort of fatalism and an indifference to anything that is development oriented, a lack of responsibility, and a situation where individuals do not want to take any initiative to move forward. In such culture, the attitude towards time is very lenient and a lack of respect for schedule. In Australian and American companies, the organizational setups don't allow leniency in time. Indian public sector is more conforming with the Hayatian culture, where people have much job security and promotions are time bound rather than performance oriented. In such organizations, people are not motivated towards the personal growth and are not interested in developing competencies because they know, irrespective of their competency, they will get a set of promotions after a time. However, in private and multinational organizations, the culture is entirely different. They work on time-bound projects and their promotions are dependent on the comprehensive analysis of the performance. Some cultures show more conformity, tends to show submission to moral rules that are commonly accepted. It is the tendency to follow the ideas, modes and customs of the group to which the individual belongs. When people show conformity with the group, then they don't want to be noticed. It closes the opportunities for innovation. They tend to behave in a traditionally set way rather than behaving in a deviant manner. Cultural differences in work values can be used to explain differences in individual performance on the basis of which job satisfaction can be predicted and how it contributes to commitment towards workforce. It helps organizations to prepare themselves during periods of change in terms of developing reward system. In addition, employees' work values have been found to aid negotiation, effectiveness of leadership and management style and facilitating communication and organizational performance. If an employee is unable to meet his or her work values through his or her job, that employee may experience dissatisfaction and ultimately withdraw from his or her job or become envious of colleagues. Commitment is such a strong and beautiful value of employee, it binds him with particular organization even at the time of crisis. In the worst possible situation, people sacrifice their personal interest for the benefits of their colleagues and organization. Multinational companies who pay high to their employees and also take lots of work from them compensate the long working hours with family holidays, low interest rate on housing and vehicle loans, etc. are few examples to satisfy the needs of their employees. Summary: value can be defined as a specific mode of conduct or end state of existence. Organization's environment, structure and policies are based upon these values. Values are relatively stable and enduring because of the presence of genetic components and the way in which they are learned. Organizational commitment is associated with organizations and its goals and wishes to maintain membership in the organization. Three-component model of the organizational commitment include 1. Affective commitment, 2. Continuous commitment and 3. Normative commitment. The level of satisfaction depends on the individual perception of receiving more desirable outcomes. The more they gain the valuable outcomes, the more they feel satisfied with their jobs. Performance, turnover and absenteeism are the major outcomes of organizational commitment. Cultural factors are of great importance on employee commitment.